So let's move on to the AFC North. AFC North, you have Baltimore, the Bengals, Cleveland, and the Steelers. I'll say this about Baltimore. I really, really hope that they don't Florida State themselves. Meaning, Florida State, whatever those circumstances are, could have been in the playoff last year. I said in the preview, go back and listen to the college football preview while we were watching the Florida State game against Georgia Tech. I said, what if that was Florida State's best chance? What if last year was Florida State under Norvell in the current system, if that was their best chance to win the national championship and they got robbed or they didn't play for it or circumstances didn't allow, how whatever you believe happened. I hope that doesn't happen for Baltimore. Follow me when I say this. Last year was their year to win the championship. Lamar was the MVP, two-time MVP. They had the defense, which was playing out of its mind. They lost their defensive coordinator this year. Last year was their chance to win it, except for you ran into that man. You ran into Patrick Mahomes. I hope that doesn't happen this year. But they should be the favorites. I ain't going to say favorites, but they should repeat as division champions for me. I got to see what they did with the rest of their roster. I don't remember. Okay. Did they add any receivers? They still have not added that. They got Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Nelson Aguilar. Nope, they didn't do it. Go jump. I know where you're going. They still ain't added no a primary receiver. Still.
Thank you. Y'all hate Lamar. I want to be very clear. I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. I think he's one of the best football players in the NFL. I think he might be I think he's probably the second best quarterback in the NFL, honestly. And playing and number one is on pace to be the GOAT. So being two in this case is no slight. But I'm convinced the Baltimore Ravens hate Lamar Jackson. This receiving room is not enough. Zay Flowers is not ready to be a wide receiver one consistently. Not by any chance.
He's a
Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar are not enough. A guy who I haven't talked great about, but I see the treatment Lamar is getting, and I think that it's very reminiscent, is Cam Newton. It's where he's a black quarterback, he's athletic, he's fast, he'll just fix it. So instead of getting him an elite, receiver, we just have him fix it all the time. Who's the best receiver that Lamar Jackson has ever had?
OBJ?
Not that shell of OBJ.
I don't know any other receivers that they've.
Hollywood Brown. You could throw it. But what I'm saying is there's nothing of importance. And then everybody's like, oh, is this the season that Lamar has to do it? Why are you asking him to stoop down with worn down tools, not have enough, and just make it happen? Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase. Justin Herbert had a plethora of decent guys. Mahomes is Mahomes. Don't ask anybody else to be Mahomes. That's stupid.
Well, yeah, Tyreek too. Now that's
Tyreek. You're right. Tyreek. Josh had Stephon Diggs, and then you get to Lamar, and you're like, oh, and Jalen Hurts. He got two of them. Yeah, really three now. And then you just look at Lamar. Everybody's like, is this like? He's had these two MVPs and all this. Get him a receiver. If you don't give him a receiver, honestly, go pound sand. What are you doing?
Yeah, I do understand. So Ty Monken is the offensive coordinator. Came from Georgia.
I hate the Ravens.
I know what they're trying to do with the Isaiah Likely Mark Andrews move with Zay Flowers as the fast, shifty guy. But you had Calvin Ridley. You traded, or you signed Derrick Henry, which was good. I do believe Derrick Henry takes a lot of the load off of any type of zone read. They said they're gonna do zone read, but you can give it to Derrick Henry all of that getting stuffed at the 1 yard line in the playoffs and all that's dead. It's all Derrick Henry. You're gonna be able to get the first down with 3 yards or less. What you need though, in order to keep you look like Tennessee now, in order to keep from people from stacking the box, you need to go get a receiver. I still don't understand why we heard nothing about Calvin Ridley going to the Baltimore Ravens, that there was nobody for them to get. If I'm the Ravens, I'm tampering. You see what I got on? I got the Falcons, and the Falcons. What did we do the past 2 years? Go back and listen to the NFC preview.
Hey,
Big Tamper.
We could change our name to the Atlanta Tamperers.
The Big Tampers. Dog, we were out here tampering. If I'm the Ravens, I sacrifice a third, fourth, fifth, whatever you want to do to go get Ridley or to go get any of these wide receivers that are ready to go. Ridley on that team makes them a Super Bowl favorite easily because they got the defense. They'll always have the defense, even though they lost the defensive play. They lost the defensive coordinator. But you got Roquan Smith.
Stop being Dallas. Stop being fucking. This is the one team in the NFL that just pisses me off because I want to support you guys. I want to root for you guys, but I'm also not stupid. And I see y'all do the same thing that Dallas tried to do when they didn't want to roll out with a wide receiver one. They got their ass cooked.
Then they went and got CD. Yeah,
exactly. Right. No, they got Amari Cooper first.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to go out there with Cole Beasley. And
Amari Cooper was ready. They ready to trade him, and y'all didn't. Listen, I understand on Army enemies, but I'd have got Amari Cooper for this team. Anybody, because that defense is crazy. They have all pro at every level. Matabukwe, yes. Roquan Smith, who's 1B as the best linebacker in the nation. Best linebacker in the league. Marlon Humphrey at corner with Kyle Hamilton, cyborg self running back there just playing. I'm not even going to put him as a position. I bet they're playing
football
defense.
Player.
He's back there playing defense.
Footballer.
Your defense is crazy. Your offense running game could be your offense could be insane. You have the mad scientists at OC. The GM, yeah, Ozzie Newsome, we know everybody grew up under Ozzie. It's cool. Ozzie's philosophy is not the same philosophy that needs to run today. They didn't really have a great receiver when they won them Super Bowls. They didn't really have a great one. I mean, I think Jacoby Jacoby Jones was the MVP.
Reggie, we didn't live through COVID. It's 2024. If you're doing stuff from the 90s, it's dead. Let it die. Y'all pissed. This team is the one team in the NFL that has truly pissed me off because I consider myself a pretty intelligent human being, but I'm also not the smartest person on the planet. And if I can see this, then you're telling me that nobody in this organization, but also I have to blame Lamar. Sometimes you have to
ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, you have to say. And I'm sorry for cussing so much, but this is the one team that has really pissed me off. Fuck you guys. You have to eventually say every other quarterback gets their guy. Why not me? Is it because I'm black, fast, and athletic? If that's it, just tell me, and I'm going to take me and my money and go somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Speaking of money, the Bengals, they're in an interesting place. They paid Joe Burrow, or they got to pay Joe Burrow. Did they pay Joe Burrow?
Yes.
Yeah, they paid Joe Burrow.
You think Joe would be touching the field if he hadn't been paid? These $1 million legs, baby.
I don't know what they got. Zach Moss and Chase Brown at running back. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jermaine Burton, Trent Irwin, Andre, a person I can't say his last name, Mike Gesicki at tight end.
Gesicki's good. I like him.
He's older now, but
mature.
Jamar Chase has not practiced. I don't know if he's practicing this week, but I know as of Friday he showed up in
hoop shorts and a t-shirt, around the jersey around his neck.
Now he still has 2 years left on his contract, which means he's trying to get paid early, which most of the time If you listen and watch, that normally behooves the team to do that.
You idiot. Look at Dallas. It's a soap opera. Pay the guy who's identified as the best at his position as soon as possible. The man wants to be paid. Open your checkbook. It's very damn simple. If you don't, if you're broke now, you will be broker in the future. Ask Jerry Jones as he now tries to pay Michael Parsons, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, DeMarcus Lawrence, the towel guy, and everybody else. It's just not going to work out. But I think that when it comes to the Bengals, there's a bigger problem. There's something with this team that's just not cool. Why haven't you paid Jamar Chase? It's an easy thing to pay him. Because once you know how much CD got paid, pay him more than that.
That's not what Jamar Chase said. And that's where I was going. It's not easy to pay him. It's very rare that you extend somebody's contract when they still have 2 years left. One, especially their rookie contract. Because that still, you don't give up that flexibility. Two, he wants to be paid more than Justin Jefferson, which I'm not saying he's not good enough or is not as good as Justin Jefferson, because he's been widely looked at as the number 2 receiver or number 3 receiver, top 3 receiver in the league. Justin Jefferson, CD, and him. With Devontae somewhere in there, you got Tyreek Hill. They're all in there.
I think he's two. If I got to pick, CD is 3 for me.
They're all. Yeah, but that's like going from a 99.5 to a 99. Like it's not a big difference in those 3. So is what I'm saying. So him and he said, I only want 1 penny more than Justin Jefferson. I only want 1 penny more.
So pay him and be done with it. This is what you know. Your quarterback is going to demand that you have that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So just pay him. Stop being stupid. And you need to do something around there so this team likes it. Don't forget, Hendrickson was talking about retiring. The least you could do is make this little piece of team look like something. And that, to me, is the biggest issue. I think that organizationally, everybody doesn't love it there. And I think that is
nobody loves the Bengals, though. They're cheap. Aha.
Yes. And then, and can Joe stay healthy? If Joe Burrow stays healthy, and I don't know what it's like the 49ers and Trent. You're going to pay him, so you might as well shut up and do it.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what they do on defense. I know they got Sam Hubbard, who they signed.
Or you can get Drake London. I love you, Drake.
We'll pay you.
What you want?
But the defense is interesting.
I know the Patriots will give him everything.
Yeah, he ain't going to.
He'll find some new money.
That defensive front 7 is strong, but like you said, it all hinges on Jamar Chase and him signing and being ready to play. They do have Jermaine Burton, so and Jermaine Burton is probably going to end up being their wide receiver 3. The Bengals, to me, they didn't get better. They're another team that kind of just got stagnant. They stayed the same to me. They lost Joe Mixon. T. Higgins don't want to be there because they franchised him, so he don't want to be there. Yep. Henderson don't want to be there. You touched on that.
If you're gonna piss Higgins off and you've already cut your nose off to spite your face with him, he's not coming back. The least you could do is save somebody in the wide receiver room. But that's fine. Y'all, and you know what?
I trade Higgins to Dallas. Like, I don't understand why they didn't trade Higgins. And I think they were trying to get a first-round pick for him, which you're never going to get a first-round pick for a disgruntled free agent, for a disgruntled person on contract year. Well, you're never going to get it because we know that you're going to have to give him up or you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. So it's a win-win situation for the ops.
And the other thing is the ops I still have to pay this man. So yeah, I'm not gonna give you a first round pick when I could just go get a first round wide receiver and make him like probably my wide receiver 2 and be okay. If I'm gonna pay, and at the end of the day, I think T. Higgins is a good wide receiver 2. I can either get one in the draft or I can give you like a 3rd or 4th rounder, and then I'm gonna have to pay this guy. It's the same thing with Hassan Reddick. I have to trade this guy, and then I also have to get a contract for him. That's a twofold issue for me. So yeah, I'm not going to give you a premium pick if I got to do a lot of legwork here, and there's just no way around doing the legwork. So no, take this third and shut up, or let this team continue to stew. And I'm telling you, this is on crockpot already. Them in Dallas.
I think this team is worse than because Dallas is Dallas. This team, if you think about the intangibles or what you don't look at in terms of money for teams, if you look at the Bengals are perpetual losers. They've been losers for a long time.
Cheap,
and it's not because of lack of talent. It's that they're cheap, and their owner is, well, I don't know if they still have the same ownership from the last few years.
Yeah, the Brown family.
But they're cheap. They don't pay. They've been
notoriously cheap.
They said they had the worst facilities. They do this, that, and the third. Why would, especially if I'm Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrick. Well, I don't know about Trey Hendrickson. If I'm those guys that come from Ohio State, LSU, and all them places, or where they pay, and they put me in good positions to win, I ain't staying in Cleveland.
Now that part,
Cincinnati.
I don't understand how college locker rooms are better than pro locker rooms. I do not understand that. But because
college locker rooms, money doesn't come from the college. Pro locker rooms come from from the owner. Now I'm sure they get sponsors, but the college.
But bro, it's like at the end of the day, why are you going from like LSU, Georgia, UGA to like low key poverty in some of these locker rooms? Like, I've seen that. You can't take me back. I've seen nice things. I've had the experience. Hey, Andre, don't bring me that. Not a chance. Bring out the good stuff, man.
So the Bengals are,
I'm rich. You think I'm rich and I'm going back? That's the whole thing.
I ain't about to play poor. Why play poor? Like, I ain't about to play poor and be rich. I'd rather play rich. I ain't about to do that. Come on. Anyway, so we go. So the Bengals are interesting. Then we got the Cleveland Browns. Let's go to the roster first. Depth chart. I got the depth chart right here in front of me. I'm trying to pull you got Deshaun Watson. They're going to trade Jameis because DTR looks like the real deal as at least a backup quarterback. Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong with Deontay Foreman out for the year or suspended. He hurt. Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong as your running backs.
Wait. Nick Chubb, we don't know when he's coming back, but it can't not talk about that part.
Well, he ain't supposed to come back for like 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. That's half the season. And if you look at their schedule, that could be. They got Dallas, Jacksonville, Washington, Philly, Cincinnati, Baltimore, the Giants, the Raiders, Chargers. They could be 3-5 by the time you get there.
I think that Dallas thinks they're going to beat them. I think that Jacksonville's pass rush is going to make it difficult. You better beat the Giants. You better beat the Raiders. You better beat the Commanders. Then you get Philly.
Now, they did add Jerry Jeudy, though, and Elijah Moore.
But that's the second quarter might be worse than the first quarter. You get Philly, Bengals, Baltimore, Chargers. You could lose all of those games.
They'll beat the Chargers. Because I think adding Jerry Jeudy was a good pickup. Again, Baltimore, you could have added him. I mean, just a route runner. Adding him was okay. He just got to stay healthy. That defense is still that defense. Myles Garrett is still that guy. Zadarius Smith is still good. Owusu is still good. Denzel Ward is interesting.
And Grant Delpit.
Grant Delpit and Denzel Ward are very interesting with Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson Jr. Greedy Williams, unfortunately, I think his career may be over because he keeps getting concussions.
But I mean, just this wide receiver group of Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, and then Njoku at tight end.
They should be crazy.
This is the question. And the Texans,
nasty man.
Yeah. Freaky D. The Texans have already laughed about the haul that they've gotten back in this trade. And I mean, have
They got a
turned their
division
organization
title.
around. Yeah, just that quick. The question is will Deshaun Watson ever get back to being who he was? And I don't know the answer to that, and my belief is not positive. We saw Joe Flacco take this same very team and make it into something. And Joe Flacco is old enough to be some of these players' parent. And Deshaun Watson, you haven't played. It's not like you
Yeah, he ain't played in like 2 years.
Yeah, you haven't played enough football to be perpetually injured. I'm sorry, respectfully. Injuries are real. Well, bro, you sat out for a year and then came back and got hurt. What you got
shoulder
to show
chipped
up to
away. The shoulder
yeah,
chipped
like
away.
you got to show up to work eventually. And I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that he's going to be good enough. I think that if you look at the quarterbacks in this division, it's going to be a dogfight between him and Russell Wilson for bottom.
If you look at this roster offensively, they have better receivers than the Ravens. They have just as good of receivers as the Steelers.
Roster going to get you fired.
The Bengals, we don't know with them. They have the pieces. The running game is going to be the biggest question mark behind Deshaun Watson. The running game.
No, you're going to have to throw the ball for the first probably 5 to 6 games of the season. That is, and probably longer than that. Because what you don't think Nick Chubb is just going to come in, show up and like, all right, we'll give you 20 carries a game. You're going Cleveland Browns. Let me tell you this, and we've already seen this happen once with Baker Mayfield. You need to learn how to throw the ball. This ground and pound 1980s football was cool in the 1980s. You better figure out how to identify your best players and get them the ball consistently. Cut the shit. When y'all had OBJ and what was the other
Jarvis
dude?
Landry.
Yes,
Jarvis
Landry.
He can't get a job either, which is crazy.
No, he's just been fired. But you had those two guys, and then y'all ran the stupidest offense ever known to man. Then you blamed Baker for not being able to throw the ball. You jackass. You hand OBJ the ball if he's that good. You hand Jarvis Landry the ball and make him beat somebody in space. If you haven't figured that out by now, the rest of the NFL and college runs a jet sweep. It's a thing now. And you guys in this stupid ass offense you run, let me tell you, either figure it out or you're going to get embarrassed. And Deshaun Watson, all of the jokes are going to come back. And now you're going to get the jokes. You're going to get the responsibility, and you're going to look at the Texans flourish on your behalf. And then they're just going to fire everybody because it's going to look stupid.
Well, this team, Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy have the ability. They're really good route runners. Jerry Jeudy never was not bad.
Moore and David Njoku. These
right. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. They have good running. They have the type of receiver that you need. They have all of them. They got the route runner. They have the explosive player in Amari Cooper. They have the middle of the field technician in Elijah Moore. You have David Njoku, who's a mismatch. He's too fast for linebackers and too big for safeties. Like, you have everything there. If that offensive line should be able to hold up. Deshaun Watson, this is your redemption story. All the jokes, as you said, they come back. They can stay away too if you win. If you win, they will. The NFL is known to turn the page on any discretion that you do as long as you win, especially at quarterback. There's a man that played in Pittsburgh that for 2 years was out there just wilding, just throwing the meat around.
The original freak, he was Freaky B.
Just throwing the meat around. And they just went ahead, got married, and he won, and they just turned the page. If you win Deshaun Watson, you could put this whole thing behind you. You got the defense. The defense ain't going to allow more than 20 points. So that means you got to score 3 touchdowns a game.
You should be very confident in your D.
He always has been. Always.
Yo, all right. Y'all knew. Hey, like, follow, subscribe. Y'all knew we weren't going to. We here for the jokes
right.
now.
Now, then you got the Steelers. The Steelers, it seems like you got contenders. You have teams that made progress, and then you have teams that we don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of teams that we don't know what they're doing that are following into this category, the Steelers being one of them, starting with Russell Wilson / Justin Fields, that they plan on running a package for both of them to play. Najee Harris, along with Jalen Warren and Cordell Patterson, although he hasn't played a lot at running back. Arthur Smith at offensive coordinator. So you're now going back to more of a running game type play. George Pickens, who has the potential to be a top 5 wide receiver in the league. Has the potential. He makes all of the catches. He runs the routes. He blocks. He does everything. But he also has a very bad attitude when he's not winning. Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, Pat Freiermuth off at tight end along with Darnell Washington. The defense, TJ Watt, Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith are the studs. You have Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jerry Porter Jr., Deshaun Elliott in the back 7 that are good. So the defense is pretty good.
Solid.
Y'all got to figure out these receivers, and y'all got to figure out this quarterback.
Okay, so let me help y'all out. Y'all just listen. I'll fix you. Number one, you got to figure out who your quarterback of the future is. You will never have two good. Well, you will not have two good.
Quinn
I want to
Ewers,
be very clear.
Jackson
I want to be very clear in what
Sanders.
I say next. You will never have two good quarterback candidates for this cheap ever again in your existence. So the best thing that you can do is identify which one of these guys is legitimate. And if you have to, and I know this might be a stretch, but you got to be able to responsibly say that if neither one of these guys are it, cut bait. And I know that might be difficult because everybody's expectation is for you to identify one of these guys. But if you look at the end of the season and say neither one of these guys can get it done, you better be real with yourself and be like, you know what, we're just going to go in a different direction and you better hit. But for me, Russell Wilson and George Pickens, that is what I'm interested to see. And just like I'm checking on Trevor
Lawrence
versus
the ski mask, versus the ski mask.
I'm telling you right now, I want to see. And my expectation is that George Pickens want to whoop Russell Wilson ass by the time it's all said and done. And if they get to the end, if they get to week 17 and he hasn't tried to choke him out yet, I take the season as a success. With that said, just like you did, this receiver room out. And this is the reason Pickens.
Come on. I know you don't like being out there in the cold. Come back to Atlanta, to the South. Come to the Dome. Yeah. We'll pay you. And we ain't got to pay you top tier receiver money. I know you're mad about hearing that, but they sabotaged you. So come on to Atlanta, George. You see it. Come on to Atlanta. You and Drake, you'll be wide receiver 1 today. Drake, you number 2. Mooney, you slot everybody out.
No. You would move Mooney, and then you would pick, and you would draft, and then you would take Pickens. But hold on, before we go back to that, there is no wide receiver 2 that you should be concerned about. Pickens should get wide receiver 1 targets and half of the wide receiver 2 targets because Van Jefferson ain't it. So if he's not getting the production, then you're gonna have to break this thing up.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Yeah, no. Hey, Mike, we love you. You're not winning 9 games this year. Look at the second part of their schedule. Don't look at the first part. Look at the second part of their schedule.
And the other part is, and we've said this, and I've said this, and I love Mike Tomlin. I really genuinely do.
Oh my God.
He's one of the guys who you can really look at and say he's a high character coach, but he tends to lose control of his team from time to time. And I think that's going to be vitally important. Can you keep this team? I know you like competition. I know you like the physicality between your players, but you got to get a hold of this team, and you got to maintain a little bit more stability, and you might need a tighter rein than you have in the past of letting guys just kind of be themselves.
Let me tell you something. Ain't enough rain, ain't enough muscle, ain't enough reeling in, ain't nothing for this second part of the schedule. Start off light.
I thought you were talking about Pickens.
That too
ain't enough.
But let me tell you, this all coincides together because when they play the second part of that schedule, they start out with Washington, light, You never know. Washington could be decent coming around in November. Then they play Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati. You know what that look like to me? Loss. Pride. We don't know what y'all gonna do in the pride game against Cincinnati. But that looks like a lot of losing to me. That looks like 8. That's 9 games. I said that's 8 losses. It's only to have a winning season. You got to win 9.
Yeah. By then, Sierra will be looking for a new city.
Now, they start out Atlanta, Denver, the Chargers, Indianapolis, Dallas, Las Vegas, the Jets. They start out. They could be strong. They could be, 5-2. 1, 2, 3.
1 loss.
4.
2 loss.
5. They could be 5-2.
3 loss.
4-3, 5-2. I think they lose to the Falcons. I think they could beat the.
It should beat Denver. Chargers is a dog fall. I think the Colts are a better team than the Steelers. Lose to Dallas.
Yeah. I ain't gonna say, but I think that they could beat them.
Yeah. Vegas is a toss-up. Everybody on their team is decent except for their quarterbacks who are terrible. And the Jets need to be winning. They need to. If they are the team that if you're not winning, you're losing.
So let's say this goes off the rails. And you said right there that they got 3 wins in the first part of the season. I just told you they got 8 losses in the last 9 games. That means they could be 5-12 at the end of the season.
You missing something here. Somebody hates Justin Fields because you're not gonna win the quarterback spot, the QB1 spot. You're gonna watch Russell Wilson probably just throw it away. Then the best case scenario for you is for you to come in after the bye week and
get slaughtered. Myles Garrett.
Bro, I'm not a proponent of people quitting like homeboy did at halftime, but
AB?
Bro, no, he quit mid-game. What was the dude who retired?
Vontae Davis. He was like, I'm out. This ain't for me, boys.
Yeah, but I don't like. I'm laughing about this, but sometimes you laughing, but it's very serious. That's what this is. Best case scenario is a terrible scenario for you. At this point, don't even blame me. Don't blame me. Do not. I don't need no more setbacks in life.
Justin Fields, you could make a splash move, and this is the only way that I see the Steelers make a splash move. You trade whatever you got. They don't really got a lot, but maybe you trade Justin Fields a pick or 2. And somebody else. Maybe you trade 2 players in a pick and go into the Raiders and go get Devontae Adams. Maybe that's what you do. Because then you add Devontae Adams with George Pickens. Now that team looks totally different. Totally different.
Bro, we play spades. You know how many spades are in a hand. You got to look at these other teams. All these teams have way more spades and going to have way more books than you. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is divest. And I hate to say it, but, I mean, cut your losses. This ain't your season. And Tomlin, eventually, you're going to have to come to reality and have a losing season. If you're going to have a losing season, then lose all of your trash in the process. Just cut bait. I'm looking at it. There's no way that you're going to pass the Bengals. And you shouldn't even say Ravens out loud. You are the best thing that you could do is just get rid of as much trash as you can in one season and try to free up some money. Because trying to compete to win the AFC North or to win anything of value is not going to happen anyway.
Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin is about to have his first losing season. It's about to happen. We've looked at the schedule. Unless everybody gets hurt, they're going to have a losing season. Don't fire that man after one losing season and 15 good ones.
No, first of all, that's not really their thing. They've only had in the last 80 years, they've had like 4 coaches and fire him. Now, and this is what I would say. The Steelers are not one of the organizations who do stupid stuff like that. So I don't think that this is a real conversation. But if you find yourself in a position where you think that you should fire Mike Tomlin, just know, if you think it's bad today, every day after Mike Tomlin will be perpetually worse.
Yeah, you're going to have a 10-year curse like Notre Dame had for Tyrone Willingham. They didn't get good again until they hired another black coach.
You will look like Tennessee after they fired Phil Fulmer. You'll never pass this way again.
Oh, man. So, all right. So, went through the 4. We think the Ravens, all of these teams are flawed in the AFC North, which is very, very interesting. They're all flawed. Assuming that Jamar Chase.
Well, the thing
is, Bengals and the Ravens look alike.
The Ravens are a good team, just without a receiver. But regular season, they'll be fine. I'm not concerned about them in the same way. Now, the Bengals and Browns, they both helmets, both orange. They look like brothers.
I got a different take. I got a different take on that. I think Baltimore and Cleveland are closer, and I think the Bengals and the Steelers, because the Bengals and the Steelers, outside of one receiver, we don't know what else they got.
But the Steelers are not. You're not blending. You don't even really need to be up here. I'm just gonna be honest. The only thing the ability that you really have is coaching ability. He's just not going to let y'all, I don't think, spin out. Outside of that, y'all don't have it. Browns, y'all have a good roster. You just have questionable quarterback play and questionable coaching. Bengals, you got Joe Burrow. I don't care what you got. You better figure it out. The expectation is going to be there.
Mm-hmm. Or he's going to go to the Jets after Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't, once quarterbacks get anointed to a certain place, the only thing that you get from there is expectation. Same thing with Buffalo. We don't care about you lost Stephon Diggs. You Josh Allen. Fix it. I don't care.
So this division, rank them 1 through 4.
Oh, no. You go first this time. I see how you keep setting me up to go first every time.
Oh, my bad. Okay, I got Ravens 1, Cleveland 2, Bengals 3, Steelers 4.
Okay, I have Ravens at 1, the Bengals at 2, Browns at 3, Steelers at 4. And for me, it's just ranking the quarterbacks here. Quarterback is the game changer. I don't think I haven't seen Deshaun Watson play good quarterback in so long that I don't. It's like
fair.
Like Drake.
I
need you to do something good so I can be like, okay, you're still good. But if you don't, then I'm just gonna have to believe that you're the person you put on tape for the last year or so. And if you do it for a full season this year, I'm just going to assume that you're not good. And you giving that money back to try to restructure your contract makes me believe that you know that you need more help, which lets me believe
nothing back.
Well, the fact that he did restructure, I mean, you're right. That money is just pushed back.
Bro, he got a $99 million cap hit in like 2 years. $72 million with a $99 million dead cap, which means they can't move it on. $99 million dead cap is, I don't know what that is. I don't.
Oh,
foolish.
I do. I surely do. What? You want to know how I know? Because we had one that wasn't nearly that, and it took us out
for 2 years.
And Matt Ryan was still playing good football. We couldn't put the team around him. Deshaun,
and that's why I picked Cleveland. That's why I picked Cleveland ahead of the Bengals. Cleveland, I do agree that quarterback wise, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 is how it is on the screen. But when it comes to the full team, there's a lot more question marks with the Bengals than there are with the Cleveland Browns. And one thing we know about Jamar Chase, he is willing to sit out a year. He sat out his junior year at LSU because he's like, I'm not getting hurt. I'm already going to be a top 5 pick. Y'all know I'm good. And he was like, nah, I'm not playing. Like, so he's prepared to sit out. Remember, he's only 24. Like, he can still play, sit out next year, get a $200 million contract, $150 million contract, however much he wants, and come back and still get a third contract and be good.
And the other part is, since he has that susceptibility, you have to like be aware of it, because whatever people have done in the past, there is a high probability they're willing to do it in the future. But Joe Burrow not gonna let you do that. You're gonna find a way. What else am I supposed to do? Throw it to the guy who's already mad?
T. Higgins? Oh, and T. Higgins is out of there. Like, and they're gonna trade him. They can't keep him and let him walk for nothing. So they're gonna trade him during the season. They're gonna have to. They're going to have to trade him, because once that season is over with, he is no longer on your roster, which means you get nothing back. They're going to have to trade him for something. So I expect for the Bengals to possibly implode, which is why I got them as third.
That makes sense. They're volatile. The volatility is a thing that I did not take into consideration.